Beautiful people, welcome to the Joy Show, your prescription for total wellness, and I am your host, Dr. Joy. Yes, we are live. I like that. Today, my guest is going to talk about divorce, but the next step to divorce, the steps before divorce. There is a better path to divorce. That's our topic for today. But you know what we do on the Dr. Joy Show? We take it down with 3 deep breaths. Are you ready? Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. How do you feel? I know I feel great. Yes, and I'm hot. Yes, we're in studio and the lights are burning. And I want to welcome my guest, Jacqui Atcheson, to the Dr. Joy Show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So is there really a better path to divorce?
There is, except when you're going through it, you don't see it, but there is.
So how did you get started? Why a divorce coach?
Just very quickly, I got married young, had a child at 23, was married to a man with 2 children who told me at the time that he couldn't find his ex-wife or the children.
Wait. Let me back up. Hold on.
Go for it.
Did you know when you got married that he had an ex-wife and the 2 kids?
That I did know, but he said he could not find them. He did not know where they were. So when I had my daughter, it was almost like a gift I was giving him as well as myself to be able to give him a child because he couldn't find his first 2.
Okay.
2 months afterwards, I got a call from the ex-wife out of nowhere because I didn't know, or he didn't know where they were. And I got the, "Hello, Mrs. Schwartz. This is the other Mrs. Schwartz."
Wait, how in the world did she find you? Because there wasn't Google back then.
There was nothing. This was May of 1979. Well, I kind of wondered that myself. And of course, years later, I got divorced and we became good friends. And I had asked her that question. And it turns out he knew where they were all along and hadn't told me.
Oh, so he started lying from the beginning?
Correct.
And you and the other Mrs. Schwartz became friends?
Once I got separated, yes.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
yeah.
okay.
I swear there should be a wives club for stuff
Yeah,
like this.
I think so.
There really should, because I know my story is not unique. But I was 23, and this happened, and I had my little baby, and she basically said, "Come and get your kids, or the guy I'm living with is going to adopt them." And he was all about money, and I think that's really what it came down to. So I was, "These are your kids. You're going to get on a plane." They were out west in California.
Really?
So at the ripe old age of 23, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, I had 3 little kids, 6, 4, and a newborn.
God bless you.
Yes.
Okay.
And then a couple of years later, we had another daughter, but what had transpired every year of having 3 little children is that I watched how these 2 ex-spouses communicated with each other and what they did to these children. And it just killed me because I don't come from that kind of home, and most people don't. And back then, I was probably one of my first friends who ever married somebody divorced. So I was an anomaly to begin with, and I had no one to look at to say, how do I change this? What do I do? I was young and had no clues. I just knew there had to be something better. You don't do this to kids. If these little kiddos would call from California during the school year and say, "Daddy, can I have a pair of roller skates?" His answer was no. "Your mom gets child support?" No. And that's how he would talk to his children.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would immediately get him off the phone and go, "What are you talking about? Of course they can have roller skates. If they were here, they would have roller skates. You call back." But the damage was done. Look what he said to the kids. And his ex-wife, in anger, would send them to us with no clothes. They would come off a plane with nothing. So we would have to buy them clothes every year. And this was the dance these 2 were doing.
And the kids were the pawns.
Oh my God, terrible. Just terrible. So this has been something in my heart because I always wanted to be a teacher. I worked in day camps and nursery schools. Kids are my thing, and you just don't do this to kids. So because of the way our marriage went, I was the support of the family financially, and I could not pursue this dream. And we had a small business together, and in the mid-90s, something came across my desk to become, through the courts, to be trained as a certified mediator. So this was also, as you can see, my marriage was never a great marriage, realizing these things as they come along with other things.
Right.
And this was my opportunity to try to come out myself as an individual again and move out of the business and eventually move out of the marriage. So that was the path I took.
So how long were you married to the first?
In total, 23 years.
That's a long time.
Yes, it was. But I had no support. My parents had moved out west when I was 30. There was nobody here to help me, and I just had my blinders on. You know, I had a supportive family. 9 months a year, I had 2 kids. 3 months a year, I had 4 kids. You had to support the family. My ex-husband was not good at that either. And you just do what you have to do. And if he wasn't a good husband, I knew, oh my God, what kind of divorce would I be going through without any support. And back then, there was no support.
Right.
You know, everything was litigious back then. There was no mediators. That's what thrilled me about this whole thing. So I became a family court mediator on Staten Island. And as time was going on, I knew my marriage was ending because I gained my self-respect back, seeing I could do things for myself.
Right.
And I went to Wall Street to get a job, continued to mediate as a volunteer with the courts because it was really an important thing. And got my divorce.
So you initiated the divorce.
I certainly did.
So I just have this thing in the news and I have to read this, right?
Sure.
This is in the news now. Pay attention. Americans rushing for divorce this year as new tax law will eliminate alimony payment deductions?
Yes.
What's up with that?
Okay, well, the administration has determined, and it really works very well for the wealthy. Basically right now, usually the man, and it's being sexist, but the larger wage earner, when there's a discrepancy in earnings, paid alimony, sometimes the woman too, and it was a tax deduction. Right now, what's going to happen is as of December 31st, 2018, that deduction goes away. So when they have to pay alimony going forward, think about they don't have a deduction, and when you break down how monies get allocated during a divorce, the woman will now get less alimony payment because his net dollars are not what they would be if they had the deduction.
Now, whoever receives the money, do they have to claim it as income on their? Okay.
And it is claimed as income. But they will not even have as much income, so it does affect the other party as well because they will get less money due to this new tax law.
Wow. So discuss the role of a divorce coach.
Okay, basically it is a new field as well. And I started doing that 4 years ago. Divorce coach can be any part of the divorce process. I deal with clients that are deciding if they should or shouldn't stay in this marriage. I work with clients throughout the process. I am now considered part of the divorce team, the way there could be a lawyer, a financial advisor, an accountant. If there's property, you have a real estate person, a mortgage person. A divorce coach brings it all together. A divorce coach saves time and money. As an example, you come into me or to my office or any really certified divorce coach is what I would say. You don't know if you want a lawyer. You don't know if you want a mediator. You don't know if you want a collaborative law process. You first have to determine these things.
And that's where you come in.
Yes. They don't have to go to a lawyer and make a mistake and just think everything is litigious and I just need a lawyer to fight for me.
And that clock is ticking when you go to an attorney's office. Oh my goodness, from the time that you walk in, it's almost like they just hit the clock and it starts going. And those fees.
Every minute.
Every minute. And those fees just ramp up from what I heard.
In New Jersey, typical lawyer's fees are $350 to $500 an hour. So if you go in and start to tell your story from the very beginning and you're very emotional, you could take hours. When you're determining what it is you want in a settlement, you tell your story to an attorney. It could take hours. They don't know what it is you want that you must have, what it is you're willing to negotiate on. You just keep talking and you keep bringing up money. And the attorneys don't want to do it. They want to do the legal process. They don't want that. So when folks come to me, this is what I sit down and do with them. And I help them figure out what it is they need, what they want, what process. I give them information on questions to interview an attorney.
You're the therapist as well.
Well, it's not really therapy. Therapy is, therapists have patients.
Okay.
And therapists also go back to try to help you figure out stuff.
Okay.
Coaching is very forward focused.
Okay, gotcha.
So that is the difference in coaching. But divorce coaching is a highly specialized field versus a life coach or other coaches, because when you go to them, you're looking to just improve something in your life. divorce coaching, you have to be like, I'm a mediator. You have to know certain things, but we don't advise along those lines. We never do. That's the lawyer's job. But we ask the questions to move them forward, to keep them healthy,
Right.
so they can get out of their emotional brain, because you cannot make these decisions when you're highly emotional and charged. Get them into their thinking brain by asking the questions they need to figure out where their life needs to head.
Okay, so here's a discussion point I have written down. The American Bar Association has recognized that divorce coaching is an alternative dispute resolution process.
We are part of that team now. It is written up in the ABA. I'm very proud to say that.
So who certifies you?
I went to a school called the Certified Divorce Coaching, the CDC. They're in Tampa, Florida, but of course they do it globally, and it's run by Randy and Peggotty Cooper. And their standards work through the ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation.
Okay.
We get certified. We have to keep up credits. We have standards of ethics, and it's highly regulated.
So is divorce or divorce coaching a woman's thing, or do you have male clients too? And I know your answer.
Oh, I know you do. I have male clients. I do. It's interesting because I actually thought when I was doing this, I would be doing it to empower women. And all of a sudden, I started getting men. And it's really interesting because by helping the men, I'm really helping the family. So it became a blessing in disguise. I never thought I would want to do it, and here I am, helping men.
So how can you as a divorce coach ease the negotiation process and turn them against, going into war like the War of Roses?
Oh, my God.
I'm sure you saw that movie, right?
Over and over.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. They were very litigious, and they got litigious attorneys.
They did?
Oh, they did. So how do I do it? I role play.
Really?
I do role plays with my clients.
You want to give an example?
Okay.
Can we?
Yeah, if you
Okay.
would like to. I have a client who calls. They're highly charged about something their spouse says. That could be even not getting divorced. We know
Exactly.
that. Okay, so what do? I say, let's role play it. Like you got charged back, and now all of a sudden you're knocking
I'm
horns.
ready to fight now.
You fight or flight. Like all of a sudden something goes into motion.
Oh, yeah, we're yes.
So what I tell my clients is when that is happening, especially in divorce, pause.
Take a pregnant pause?
Pause, press that pause button, whatever button, a pregnant pause. Reach out to me, especially during divorce proceedings and things are going on. We do a fast role play. I call it 10-minute laser coaching, and they reach out to me in between sessions, and we do a quick, how do you want to be remembered through this? Sometimes the kids are in the next room. What do you want your children to hear? Step back. How do you want to be remembered through this? When you're arguing, if you inflame him more, what does that accomplish?
Nothing.
So this is what you're looking for. How can we say this another way? Let's do a quick practice. And so I could do something sweet and simple like that, and it stops the panic.
But then they have to remember that when they go home, though.
They do. Or we practice again in my next session. How did it go? Didn't go well? Why didn't it go well? What prevented it from going well? Well, let's try something else.
So do you get one person that comes to you out of the union, or two?
Always one. I don't do marriage counseling, even if they come to me in the place of deciding should I or shouldn't I. So a lot of times, let me just explain marriage counseling.
Yeah.
Couples go there that really want help. Then you have couples that go there that are just appeasing or shutting up the other person. So you're not always there with a full heart.
You see my face?
I saw your face. I've seen it. They go for a month. They're done. Look, we're wonderful. I did everything. And they just kind of step back in their old ways. That's why people get divorced. They keep saying, how many times did I go to marriage counseling? I've been there 6 times. We've seen attorneys. I work on the person. First of all, you can't keep doing the same thing the same way and expect different results.
Oh, that's called insanity, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
That's the word. I don't say that to my clients, though. I kind of just temper it a little. And I say, so how can we do this, to help you? If you change a behavior in the home and you're consistent with it, then either they're going to change with you and things will start to get better, and then we change the next behavior. It's like retraining a child sometimes. I hate to say it, but work on who you are.
Right.
So either it's going to change the dynamic of the marriage and your marriage will turn around, or you've now started to change yourself a little bit, and you could walk out of here being a different person.
Okay.
That's important.
So you mentioned children before.
Yeah.
What's the impact of divorce on the children?
It's never great. It's never optimal. Children never want to see their parents breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of marriages, if they can work out an agreement where they stay together and it's peaceful, and many marriages do that too. They set up their own little side way of living, contract, call it what you want. As long as it's peaceful around the children are good with it. But if there's yelling and screaming and constant animosity and fighting and sniping, it's not good for the children. Sniping, not sniper. But little snips and snipes kind of thing.
A tit for tat.
Oh, God. First of all, what are you teaching your children? They learn from your example.
Yes, they do.
So are you teaching them that this is what a marriage and a relationship looks like? So what happens when they go out, when they get older? They emulate what they see.
Right.
So you're not helping your child either. They'd rather see two happy parents in happy homes too. And
That's
that I've
true.
learned that.
So, Jacqui, would you please
Yes.
share a success story?
Okay, I will share the one with the man since we are discussing men.
Yeah, because I'm glad that you're gonna share one with the guys, because typically the guys aren't gonna be the ones. I'm sorry. Typically the guys aren't gonna be the ones to reach out for help because they're, that's just who they are.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of times, right?
Yeah, so I'll share.
I know I'm gonna get a lot of dings and digs and for saying that, but I'm putting it out there.
The truth is, men don't reach out. This was very
See?
new even for me. And I embraced it because, again, I think I'm helping the family. So
Right.
there was a gentleman who reached out to me in the middle of his divorce while it was going on. It was a year ago, October, that they were getting separated. There
Okay.
was money. He was a major wage earner. She was not. They had the big house, 3 children,
All the trappings.
all the trappings. Clearly, there was addiction and alcohol issues in the home.
Oh.
And they both, part of the process was they had to go for help. But there was also, seems from his version of the story, and again, there's always more, but
That's
he
right.
was my client, there was a lot of parental alienation to the point where they had a restraining order for him, and he had to have a nanny and supervised visits with his children, which already makes it very strained and very difficult.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. He had a teenage daughter that on a good day, a teenage daughter can be very hormonal. And then along with the mother feeding a lot of negative information, why we don't do that.
Right.
She would be absolutely impossible when they would go out. And at that point, all they were doing was going out for dinners because Dad didn't know what else to do. He would go to the car and she'd be writing on the car nasty words to him and about him. He couldn't take his son to the bathroom. He had a 4-year-old because the supervisor was a woman,
so
and
she
couldn't go to the bathroom with him.
Oh my goodness.
So you can imagine the tension just sitting at a table. They probably all couldn't wait to get away from each other. So he had asked me, what can I do?
Yeah.
And again, I don't advise. So the question I would ask this gentleman or someone else is, when you were a happy family or a family, what did you do as a family that brought smiles to everyone's faces, that made good memories? See, I can't answer that. I have to ask him. He knows
So
what he did.
did he pause?
He certainly did.
He took a pregnant pause?
He did, Joy. He did.
And what happened next?
Well, he said we would play tennis together. We would go to amusement parks and go on. He remembers the great bumper cars, them all slamming up against each other. Who giggles more than on a bumper car or
Right,
a roller coaster?
absolutely.
But while he was going through this, because of the emotional state, he forgot about that. And the alienation and going for therapy all the time and going for classes and having to meditate and whatever was going on, you get very caught up and you only think about this and that. Nobody's opening up your mind and getting
Right.
you away from the emotion and into the thinking. So I said, what's preventing you from doing that again?
And what did he say?
He said, I never thought of that.
Bingo.
So, yeah.
Light bulb went
so
off.
something so quick and what seems so easy,
Yes.
you can't think yourself when you're highly charged emotionally going through divorce. And he said, is there anything else? I go, well, now I can't give advice, so I'm very careful how I frame things. I said, did you take any pictures from the house before you got separated? He said, yes. I said, I have a lot of clients who send notes every week or so with pictures of when they were all together with happy faces and just drop a note. Is that something you think you can do? Along with now doing more fun things with the kids as opposed to just sitting in a restaurant.
Right.
And he embraced it.
He did.
He embraced it. He started sending, especially to his daughter, who was the one who really needed to be broken down a little bit more.
Right.
And as time went on, things he would say to me, well, as a woman, so in relation to the question about a man, I think they're very comfortable speaking to a woman. Also, he goes, as a woman, and I know you have children, I have pictures all over and grandchildren, I'm at a loss. Is there anything else you can tell me that you might do with kids or your other clients? Because he sees how I word things now.
Right.
And I gave him some other ideas, and he took them. He went to the Wild Wild West. He went to the dinosaur park.
But he took his sessions with you seriously.
Oh, so seriously.
And then he looked inside himself to see what he could do.
Correct.
And then made some changes and then took it back home.
Correct.
And so what happened?
Well, he also had me looking at his agreement to
Okay.
see what we thought was fair or not fair. And again, it's not a matter of what I think is fair.
Right.
But I would question lines with him and go through it with him and asked him if it was reversed. How is his wife with this? How would you be if you were the wife? How do you think she would be as the husband? So I dig deep. That's the kind of questions I ask, because everybody's entitled to something.
Right.
You try to remember to put your shoe on somebody else's foot, see it from somebody else's point of view. So we go through that. And in June, they finalized their agreement. His wife ended up taking the children to Florida, which was part of the agreement, to live down there near her parents. And he sees his children more. He's been writing me.
Okay.
He has been seeing his children more since they're in Florida. They have quality time. The agreement, his ex-wife saw the changes and allowed him more visitation than she did when we
Wonderful.
first started the process.
Right.
So everything turned out pretty good.
Wow, so that's really, really good.
Yeah, it was
so,
great.
So what is your process? Because I know my viewers want to know. So how does it start? Well, I don't want to say A to Z, but the high level.
It's very individual. If they come to me just deciding if they should or they shouldn't, there's one process. So we start with working on them as an individual. It's like I said, they have to start to change their behaviors, even with the spouse in the home, if they want that marriage to work, and see where it goes. Okay, so we start with that process, and we work on that in steps. Again, whether there are assignments, role plays, however, and I feel out my client what they're capable of too. And at the end of every session, we have to walk away with at least one thing to do. And I always ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, are you going to do this? And if it's anything less than a 10, my response is, what's preventing you from getting to a 10?
Good.
And if they come back next week and they don't do it, it's the same question.
So you're making them think,
Yes.
Jacqui.
Yes, I am.
And okay, so now they come back and they say, yes, it's a 10. I'm going to do what we discussed. And then how does it go? How many sessions do you do?
Well, I never do one session at a time. I start out with always in groups of 3, because one session in coaching will not help anybody. It just doesn't work that way. But going back to then, that's just if I should or I shouldn't. Then if they're in the midst, if they're coming in at the beginning of a process, I have lists of how to get prepared, things they need to do. Check a credit report, change your passwords, get off social media. There's a million things they need to do.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's
so each
really big.
process is really different.
Okay.
They have to fill out these CIS forms for the courts. They can't do it themselves. It's impossible. The forms are mind-boggling. So instead of doing that again with your attorney, coming in with a box at $350 to $500 an hour,
You do it.
we do it together. Now, I don't do anything for the client, especially if it's a woman who has been in a position and doesn't know the finances.
Right.
We do it together. Because
Okay.
she has to learn these things. That's part of how I have to empower a woman in those situations. Same way I worked with this man to teach him how to be a better father.
Right.
And to think a little bit more like a woman. Sometimes you have to teach a woman how to think a little bit more like a man in the typical roles,
Right,
if
of
they've never
course.
done it before.
Of course.
So we do things like that. How
Are you
to get
there?
healthy.
What about it? Are you ever pulled in at the point where they've already seen an attorney?
Oh yeah, attorneys
Okay.
refer me
Oh, good.
because they don't want to do this work.
No, they just want to.
They
They just
don't-
want to get to the contract. All right, what are we
They
doing here?
Right.
Right.
So we come up with the information. It could take a couple of sessions. That's why I say I do them in groups of 3. What is it you really must have? You think you still want the house. Well, let's do a budget. Can you
Right.
afford the house?
Right.
Do you know how to go about getting repairs? Do you
Right.
know what the home is worth? So these are questions that, and I make them go find the answers, how to find the answers. Because if you want the house, you're going to have to figure out how to do this.
That's right.
So
Now
we work on that.
That's key. Now you talked about being healthy. Is work-life balance in there somehow?
Well,
you want to touch on that real quick?
Sure. Sleep and eating are critical, as we all know now. We've learned that.
Yeah.
Divorce, it doesn't exist. So on top of high emotion, if you're not sleeping well and you're not eating well, how are you going to make decisions for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Once you sign on that dotted line, it's over. It's a contract. It is legal and binding.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that you are comfortable with what you're doing. And though the lawyer tells you what the law is and what you're entitled to, at the end of the day, it is your life. You make that decision. Nobody tells you what to do. But that's where I help them really figure out what it is they can live with, what they can't live with, where they can meet in the middle, and just start to move on and have a life for themselves. It's a second chance.
So, how can my viewers reach you if they need you?
Thank you, Joy. Okay, well, my website is www.betterpathtodivorce.com, and I have a phone number. I work on my cell all the time because of the emergency nature of the calls I get. So clients always have to reach me or text me, 917-353-1655.
Repeat.
No, thank you. 917-353-1655.
Now, do you work with people in person, Skype, on the phone? How?
All of the above.
All of the above.
Well, I have clients actually all over.
You're global. That's
I am
right.
very global. So if they're local, I at least, and I know schedules are crazy, would like to at least meet them once, just so like you and me, a face-to-face is really important.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, we do FaceTime, we do phone work, we do anything. And everything can be sent through emails if there's a project or an assignment that I'd like the client to do and they agree to do, clearly.
Do you have any final thoughts or advice? You can give advice.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't promote divorce, especially if there's kids involved. What is the best advice I can give you? Maintain your dignity going through it to the best of your ability, because people will remember you. Reach out to your friends, but don't just pick 2 friends because you're going to wear them out. Pick a few other people you can talk to.
That you can trust.
That you can trust, yes.
Okay.
When I say friends, I'm making an assumption they're good friends.
Well, yeah.
I know, girl. You're right.
Yeah.
People you can trust.
Yeah, people
right?
with no judgment.
But do understand that they're always going to rally around you and make you more charged and emotional, so they're not neutral.
Right.
They're just your cheerleaders.
Right.
You do need someone neutral to help you get through this process. It's really, really important. And someone helps you move forward, because life is short. I don't know if you're getting divorced in your 30s, 40s, 50s. Doing a lot of work now with older people as well. It's a whole new segment of the population. They call it gray divorce. And life's short. Be happy.
Thank you so much
Thank
for being a guest on the Dr. Joy Show.
Just want to help people. It's a rough time in life.
I know, that's right. Until next time, be blessed, stay healthy. See ya!